Now, hear me when I say this. Horses are herd animals and they do look for leadership. So in a relationship with a human, we do need to be the leader. And if we are not, the horse will take that role and it might not exactly be as we would like it to be.
You're listening to the No Labels, No Limits podcast with best-selling author Sarah Box. We focus on the mantra, no labels, no limits, no excuses. And now without further ado, please welcome your commanding coach with plenty of chutzpah and heart, Sarah Box.
Hey there, No Labels, No Limits podcast listeners. Welcome back. I'm Sarah Box, your host of the No Labels, No Limits podcast, where we're on a mission to help individuals, teams, and organizations think outside the box, move beyond limiting beliefs, and create a profound impact in their lives and the lives of those they touch. And we do this by sharing accomplished and inspiring guests who have challenged limiting labels and beliefs and pursued and accomplished personal and professional goals. Today, we are joined by Sue Willoughby, a true embodiment of resilience and reinvention. Sue is a standout coach who specializes in Equus coaching. She brings a unique approach by incorporating the intuitive nature of horses to foster deep personal insights and breakthroughs in self-awareness and communication. And despite dropping out of high school twice, Sue carved a successful path in the corporate world, eventually pivoting to fulfill her passion for coaching and helping others. So outside the coaching arena, this is pretty cool, I have to say, Sue enjoys an eclectic mix of hobbies, from DJing to flying planes and even refereeing roller derby. That is not for the faint of heart. Living near Seattle with her horse Moose, 2 mini dachshunds, and a VW bus named Arlo, Sue's life story is about stepping boldly out of her comfort zone and embracing life's possibilities. So now let's officially welcome Sue Willoughby to the podcast. Hey, Sue.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. That was awesome.
Well, I have a question.
Wow, I'm a
you.
really fun person. Gee.
You are fun. Well, that's why I was looking forward to interviewing you. I'm thinking, okay, this gal is all over the place. How cool is she? But before I get to your horse and your mini dachshunds,
Yes.
what year is your bus?
It's an 85 VW Westphalia. It's the Weekender edition, not the one with the full kitchen. So it's much lighter and faster than the full.
Okay, saying a VW bus is fast it's relative.
I was being facetious because
I gathered that.
I just love it. And the thing is, I drive it around town and, pull into the hardware store and the kids come running out and they're like, that's the coolest bus ever.
They are cool. I had a 66 that I named Eddie, like Eddie Haskell from,
totally.
Because sometimes Eddie ran perfectly until we were alone, and then he caused trouble. So I named him Eddie, but I loved him until I had to break up with him because he was not dependable, and I decided I need a little more dependability. But I have often missed driving him. There's such a vibe. But when you say fast, I'm going, I remember going up some grades at 45 thinking, come on, baby, you can do this.
Right. So, people are honking at you, passing you and everything.
But now, because it's a cool car now, you can wait.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I had a 74 bay window, just the transporter model, and her name was Olive because she was green.
Well, there you go. Well, when I got with my husband, I've been with him a while, but he had this he's not around. It was an ugly gray Buick, but I mean, it was ugly. So he goes, I said, we taking my car? He goes, no, let's take mine. I says, okay, we're going to take Bruce. He goes, who's Bruce? I go, oh, your car has a name now. He's Bruce. So I like when other people name cars.
Totally.
Because I do. And
totally.
Sometimes people think it's weird. And that's how
I think it's perfectly normal. Although, sometimes the newer cars are a little hard to name. I had a Mini Cooper named Jimmy because he was purple. And
that works like a cricket.
Yeah.
No, Jiminy Cricket was green, right?
Jimmy like as in Jimi Hendrix, because he was purple.
Purple haze. I'm with you. I'm there. I'm a little slow on the uptake sometimes. Okay, let's get back to you.
I thought this was going to be an episode of, Click and Clack, the Tappet Brothers.
Well, I love that show. I was
oh my God,
sad.
me too. It was sad.
And my husband
Car talk.
Why are you listening to a show? I said, honey, I don't care what they're talking about. They are hilarious. They're quick. They're hilarious. And they talk in pictures.
Yes.
Right? I could see what they were talking about. So I'd be driving along laughing. What are you laughing at? Listen to these guys. So
Tom and Ray. Oh man, they were the best.
They were the best. Okay, I think we have devolved here just a little bit.
Yes, just a bit. Sorry.
It does say, I don't care. I'll follow you down any rabbit hole. But it does say something about, I can guess some generational things that are similar for us. Not the same, but similar.
Yes.
But I really want to know a little bit about how you got to do what you're doing now. Like, what was the impetus from leaving corporate? I mean, it's amazing enough you got to corporate and you were earning a great living, but what was the pivot for you that you said, I need to go differently?
Yeah, differently. That is a good question. I have always gone differently, I think would be one way to put it. I sort of fell into corporate America, which you mentioned in my bio. I did quit high school twice. So I never thought that I would have a job that would pay me 5 figures, never mind 6. And so I have always gone through my life just being curious about other things. And if something presented itself, I would just check it out, at least try it. Maybe it was something that fit, it's like going through a clothing store and trying on everything. Some things fit, some things don't, but it's okay. Don't buy the plaid blazer then if it doesn't fit. So the impetus for really leaving corporate America, I had also gotten into real estate at the time as an investor. And I'm kind of the person that if I try something, I go all in. Like I, started taking flying lessons and I ended up owning a plane. You
don't dabble.
No, I don't dabble. And I may go off into the deep end and only stay there for a short period of time, but I'm all in at that point. So as a real estate investor, I got tired of dragging a real estate agent around, looking at horrible properties. And I'm like, I want to write my own offer. So I got my real estate license. Like, okay, well, I'll just do this now. And then I was like, you know what? I like real estate enough that I want to do it full time. And because real estate's not something that you can really do part-time. And so I left my corporate job and said, okay, I'm going to go do real estate full time. And I did. And your question was, and I did not forget, how did I get into coaching? I have been connected, and specifically Equus coaching. I've been connected with horses my entire life. They've always been there for me on one level or another, whether I realized it or not, that they were providing some sort of healing and some sort of support. And also in my roles I worked in retail for a number of years, but I was always had some sort of connection with healing and human services on some level. I volunteered at a therapeutic riding center for a number of years. I would go to summer camp for every summer and work in the horseback riding program there, which was therapeutic riding before I even knew what it was. The work that I do now does not involve riding. But even in my corporate career, I was always in some sort of leadership, and maybe it's a control thing with me. I don't know.
Well, I have questions about that for you, so go ahead. I'm sadly resonating with a lot of what you're saying.
But I think, I've always been in sort of a leadership role, and I just, people gravitate to me in around that. I don't know why.
They feel safe.
Maybe they feel safe, or they're just like, oh, okay, she's doing a thing. I guess it's okay to do it too, right? I don't know. But I've always just done my own thing. So I think that that's part of it. But the horses have always just been a constant thread for me. So they really did pull me in. And, I thought about doing therapeutic riding, but I didn't really want to do that piece of it. So the universe took me to Equus coaching, and it fit all of those pieces that are near and dear to my heart and my soul and everything. So.
Can you talk to us about what Equus coaching is? Because I wrongly assumed that it was more of the therapeutic riding model, right? So, anyway, what is it? Yeah. No, I was going down another train. I thought, stay focused, Sarah. So later in the day, I do an interview. The more curious I am, but I lose focus.
No, I love the curious piece of it because I love the conversation.
I live my life that way.
Yeah. You have to be curious. Otherwise, you're boring.
Tell it to me straight. Come on now.
Okay. So back to the question at hand. See, I'm trying to keep us focused here because I'm also not really good at that. Equus coaching is the use of, or the collaboration with, I should say, horses as my coaching partners. Horses are very intuitive. They also do not judge and they don't lie. So these are activities that are ground-based, meaning that you're not riding. There's no riding. And you're interacting, or the client is interacting with the horse, and the horse is at liberty. So the horse is free to roam about the arena or roam about the paddock or whatever it is, wherever the session is taking place. And I'm watching the horse's behavior, and I'm talking to the human, and I'm watching what they do and how they interact with the horse and how the horse interacts with them. Because the horses are very good at mirroring behavior. They're also really good at determining whether your insides match your outsides and whether you're being congruent with what you're saying and how you're acting, or are you hiding something? And so they're very intuitive that way because they are prey animals. So they rely very much on their instinct and what they're picking up from whatever is in their environment. So they are constantly in the moment. When you say in the moment, horses are in the moment. They don't know how else to be. So that's in a nutshell.
When you are watching, you call it the people you're coaching, they're your clients, right? Okay.
Yes.
And do you work with only your own horses, or do you work with a handful of horses? I'm just curious. I'm imagining this interaction and what it might look like, and also the effect it has on the horse.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. The horse is going to react. So I can work with my own personal horse or any horse, really. A lot of times we will do, I'm partnering with another Equus coach, and we're doing a retreat together in Paso Robles, California in October. And we go to a private ranch, and they have a number of horses that we use in our coaching sessions with the group of individuals that come down for the retreat. So I can use the same horse with 2 or 3 different people, and the horse will give each person exactly what they need because they are so amazing. They can monitor your heart rate and your, what's going on inside you, because that's what they do. I mean, they can sense things quarter of a mile away, right? They hear you and see you and smell you and sense you before you're near them. And they're also, the interesting thing is they're into pressure animals, meaning that if they're in a situation where, they have that decision point, right? Fight or flight, right? They're not going to fight unless they're forced to defend themselves. They're typically going to have the flight instinct or response. But if something's coming up on them, like let's say it's a mountain lion or whatever, they may freeze and they will go into pressure. So I'm getting a little technical here, but like with riding.
With you. I've had horses, and I'm imagining. I've watched the one horse I had been abused before I got him, so he had interesting responses to different people, and so this is super fascinating for me. So carry on.
Oh,
carry on.
Well, so they're into pressure animals. So like, for example, if you're leading a horse and you're pulling on them, they're going to go into that pressure. They're going to, so it's all when you're riding or when you're working with them in a more of a training capacity or a riding capacity, right? It's all about timing. It's all about when to release that pressure, and the release is the reward for the horse, right? So when they're interacting with another being, in this sense, humans, we're predators, right? So they're assessing us. They're sizing us up. They're like, is this person a threat to me? Or are they okay? And so if the person is being incongruent, meaning they're putting on a facade for the horse that either they're not scared or they're not, they're hiding something, whether it be sadness or whether it be whatever trauma. I mean, whatever it is that you're hiding and you're trying to put up that front that we're all really good at, the horse is like, nope.
I see you.
I see you. You cannot hide from me. Good luck with that, right? And so, and then when, and I will ask the person, I'll be like, what are you sensing from that horse right now? They may say something like, oh, the horse doesn't like me. The horse is bored with me. The horse is like, and I'm like, that's interesting. Tell me more about why you think the horse is bored, right? Where's that coming from? Well, they just are. I mean, everybody in my life, oh, really? What was that again? Sorry. Right? I'll tell you, horses can cut to the chase quicker than, it's crazy.
It is. Yeah. Yes. The mirror effect of a horse is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And the fight or flight thing is, I mean, I've had a mega horsefly bite my horse while I was on it. The next thing I know, I'm landing on rocks. I mean, it's like, bye-bye, you're gone. Yeah. I'm going, man, that hurt.
Just happened
it hurt.
Right?
But and then he's like, he stopped and he's walking back like going, bummer, didn't mean to dump you, but I had to go.
I had
to leave. But also there is that heart connection with horses. And the best smell ever is the smell of changing air with a horse, like when they're breathing and you
I have so many pictures of me, and people are like, why are you always kissing the horse? And I said, I'm not. I'm exchanging breath with them. And they're like, what?
It's the best thing ever. Our horse passed away like 5 years ago after he's 36. But
my neighbor, that's great.
My neighbor has horses. So I'll go, I just want to smell breath. Can I please smell some breath? Come on in.
I always tell Moose, I'm like, you have the best breath ever. And he's like, what?
Nice of you to notice. And by the way, I'm not feeling the same about you.
He's like, back off. You just had too much coffee. Get away from me.
Well, so it's interesting though. Back to your therapy and the horses being a mirror. Yeah. And also that pressure, that sense of pressure, which we feel internally. I don't think we would name it the same, but it's like that tension that you feel like someone's expecting you to do something or you're expecting you to do something. Yeah. Do I run? Am I in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, right? So when your clients that you work with, what are some of their biggest transformations from working with a horse in that way?
That's a great question. And it is all over the map, honestly. I think that, and this is a big thing that I use just in coaching with or without horses, but I think it's really at the core, like one of my core coaching pillars is awareness. And I think that horses really help us become more aware of, and the essence of awareness being, we all react so quickly. And we also hold on to things for a very long time because they're our stories and they keep us company and they, in our mind, they keep us safe and they keep us from doing things. And horses don't have those stories. They move through their emotions very quickly because for them, it's all about survival. So I think the biggest aha moments that a lot of people have are just when they feel that, oh, that's what that moment was about just then, where I was able to pause before I reacted and be able to then understand that emotion or that whatever just happened to me was nothing more than information. And how can I better interpret that? I think that is a big takeaway from horses because everything is information to them, right? The smell, right? The breath, they are information processors and they process information in a really quick way because it could mean life or death to them. And I think that is a big shift that I see in a lot of people was like, oh, okay, if I just take that second, if I take that beat and I take in that information and process it rather than just react, I can have a different outcome.
Yeah.
So,
and I just think of being more grounded in that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is it's a fun little game when you realize that you just got triggered, whatever the trigger was, or something happened. And what normally would have come out of your mouth or didn't, right?
Yes.
And you're thinking, oh, thank God that one didn't come out.
Right.
Because often, for me, it's an adrenaline rush. It's like when something like that happens, it kicks up. Sometimes it's my I'll get mad, but usually it's just a quick adrenaline rush and it passes fast. But in that moment, I've been known to say or do things that I'm not particularly proud of. And over the years, as I've grown and learned and been coached, also, it's the more quickly I can recognize that, like,
yes,
that was interesting. What was that? What do I want to do with it? Right. And that, but also what is it mirroring back to me?
Yes. Yeah.
So
yeah, we have this thing called spot it, you've got it, right?
I hate that thing.
Yeah. Oh, well, that person, oh, well, that would be me. Yeah, I see that. The other thing is, and you did mention that it's very somatic experience. You mentioned that adrenaline rush, right? A lot. What I will do is when I see a reaction or I see someone processing something, I'll ask them, where do you feel it in your body? What is that? Go back into your body, ground yourself, take a deep breath, right? What is coming up for you? What does it feel like? And typically I'll get a word. I'm like, no, what does it feel like in your body? Right? It's very somatic because horses are in their bodies all the time. And it's, and that's what they go on. That's where that's that hit that they get, that information that they're processing. It, like you said, it's that adrenaline rush, and you can either
and it's fast.
Yeah, it is fast. Yeah. It is fast. Yeah.
It makes me wonder, like, the history of the animal, the being itself. Like, what was it? Because, like I said, my horse had been rescued. He was okay. I mean, like, I got to the point where I thought, really, he doesn't want to be ridden. He wants to be my pal.
That's kind of how I feel about Moose.
Yeah.
He's given me a few indications.
Yeah. And I thought, well, I don't feel like riding around the arena anymore. I've done my show stuff and I'm good with a pal. Yeah. So then he would pick on my dogs. Like, they'd walk out and he'd put his head down like he's going to charge them. Oh, he would do that, or he'd stand and stare in our kitchen window in the morning like this until we
let him in.
He did, but he also wanted, like, hey, clock's ticking, the sun is up, I'd like my chow. But funny sense of humor and sweet boy. But I also noticed that it took him probably 3 years with me before he settled down and thought guys were okay to be around. So whoever brutal, my husband, he took to him from the get-go, but,
Yeah.
and I don't know why, because he wasn't around horses that much, but
They can
babies,
sense it.
dogs, horses.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to be a threat to him. But other
Yeah.
guys, you could tell like he would tense up like this.
Mhm.
And I thought, man, whoever did that to you is funky. But I also then go, I'm curious, like if I were in front of you and I had that adrenaline rush and I was working with the horse with you,
Mhm.
what would the horse be experiencing?
Okay, so it might be, they would also probably feel that coming from you. And it would be more about what your outward reaction was. So if you were trying to push that back down, they may back off a little bit and be like, okay, I'm going to wait here and see what your reaction is going to be to that adrenaline rush. Are you going to come at me? Are you going to whatever? Because they can sense those things. And, your heart rate would probably increase. And if you were pretending like, oh, there's nothing going on here. There's nothing to see here. Please move along.
My neck's all tense.
Right. And you're like, beat red in the face. Yeah. And your heart's going, don't, right. The horse is like, I'm just going to be over here if you want me. When you're ready to come to terms with what's going on, I'll be back. But right now, I'm just going to keep my distance. And I've seen them do that with people, that are not being controlled. And yeah, they will either stay away, and then once the person is able to process whatever it is that they're going through, it might be sadness, it might be, something, and they let it come out, and they drop that facade. The next thing they know, the horse is standing behind them. How can I help? What do you need? How can I support you?
There's a therapist who, in her earlier therapy years, worked primarily with abused children, worked a lot with law enforcement and all of that. So really the high trauma situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that it's the same type of work that you do, but one of the things she said that's so amazing to her in the work is the right horse will walk up to the right person.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, if I've got more than one person and more than one horse, she goes, they all know who needs each other. And she goes,
Yeah.
I don't need to do anything. They know. And pretty soon you'll find this 12-year-old, for instance, with her arms around a horse sobbing because she needs to tell her story. Right. And here's this horse. She goes, 20 minutes ago, that horse wouldn't have been near that kid, wouldn't have wanted to be near that kid, but just came over. So it's that connection. So can you talk about that horse, the equus-human connection? Is there one, or is it just forced by us as men, women, people?
Humans.
What? Humans.
Whatever we are.
The bipeds.
Yeah. I believe personally that connection, they have come to coexist with us in a way that, now hear me when I say this, horses are herd animals, and they do look for leadership. So in a relationship with a human, we do need to be the leader. And if we are not, the horse will take that role, and it might not exactly be as we would like it to be.
There's got to be one boss.
Right? But they do look to us for leadership. When they're in a herd, they look to the calmest, the most level-headed horse in the group. And guess what? It's usually a mare. Big surprise there. While the stallions and the geldings are out running around like chickens without heads, the mare is like, okay, you guys settle down. This is just ridiculous. Okay, look out here. Something's coming our way. They will look to someone or something for the leadership. So they're really good with leadership skills, or teaching leadership skills, because if you've ever seen people go in and try to bully a horse into doing something, the horse is like, not happening. So so they have learned, I think, to coexist with us in a way that makes sense to them. And they will not honor that relationship if they feel like it's not of value and that it's not authentic. I think they can sense our authentic ability and desire to connect with them. For example, a horse that has been traumatized, maybe or abused or whatever, they're not going to give their trust as easily as another horse that has never had to deal with anything. So in order to make that relationship happen, you have to be patient. You cannot force the horse into a relationship. It has to be mutual respect. And that's my personal opinion and, the opinion of, I'm sure, a lot of other civilized horse people. Trying to be polite here. But
no, you don't have to be polite. You're not someone who's going to beat a horse into submission, period.
No, I mean, what will happen if you do, right? I mean, the old school breaking a horse, literally they would break its spirit. And what would happen is the horse would emotionally just shut down. Like, okay, sometimes, they go into, just like people who have dealt with trauma, they shut down because they're not really there. They're not really in their bodies for whatever's happening to them. So horses do have the ability to do that. So if you have a horse that has been traumatized, it's going to take it longer to connect with you. And just any horse, it takes a long time to build a trusting relationship. And they will call you on your you-know-what if they feel like you're not being honest with them and with yourself. So they can keep you in check, which is a good thing.
It is a good thing.
Keep us honest, for real.
I remember, this was probably one of the saddest days when we had to let him go, right? Because his kidney, I'm like the optimist. Okay, can we do something else? Can we do something else? And the vet looked at me, she goes, we could. You'd get another week out of him, but he is not comfortable. Yeah. He is not going to get better. And it scares him that he can't control his body. Okay, right? I'm thinking, okay, that's all I need to know. Why would you make a fight or flight animal scared unnecessarily?
Yeah.
So anyway, but I was obviously I'd had him since he was 9 years old, and here he is 36. And
that's an amazing life for a horse.
I know.
That's so great.
My husband kept asking the vet, how long do these guys live? He never asked it when I was around.
Yeah.
But the vet told me, he goes, we chat. And I go, I bet you chat. Because the vet's all saying to me, okay, these are really good vitamins, right? And do this. And he goes, they live till they're done. He goes, right. I have a horse who's just passed. He was 40. And my husband's going, whoa. 40. So anyway, but the next morning I look out where I'm expecting to see him looking through the 50 feet into our kitchen window. And I swear to God, I felt this lightness where he would usually roll and stuff. I'm free. And it was like right in the gut. Okay.
That's powerful.
It was really powerful. It still didn't stop me from crying, but I felt better. I went, whoa, that was a good one. Yeah. Even telling you that I felt it again, but it's that energy of, I'm not stuck in this body.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm free. Totally not on topic with what we were talking about, but horses, I just think they're special in a lot of ways. And they're funny.
They're very, I know. Have you seen Instagram? They are hysterical.
Yeah. I walked our horse into the house when I was a kid. I did. I just wanted to see if she would come in.
And she did.
She followed me right in. But my mom was so cool. She goes, how are you going to turn her around? Never occurred to me. I said,
you mean without breaking anything?
Yeah, our house was not big.
Right.
I go, I think, and she goes, go right out the back door. Keep on going in a straight line. Do not stop. Do not go.
Don't scare the horse.
Let her be. Walk her through. But I just remember I think with all the kids we had in our household, my mom was pretty a nerd to that kind of stuff. It's like, oh my God, what are they going to do next?
Whatever. A horse in the house. Okay, great.
Why did you pick women over 40?
That's a good question. I think that, okay. I could have chosen a younger group, but I think it's because, I am at a certain point in my life, and I feel that there are a lot of women that are also at that point in their life where I see and I sense them kind of go into hiding, right? For whatever reason, maybe they've raised a family, they're at a certain point in their career, and they think, oh, I'm done. I don't have anything. I can't start something new at this age. You're 45. You got a lot of time ahead of you. What are you, crazy? I mean, I started taking polo lessons, speaking of trying new things. I mean, I've always wanted to do new things, and I want women to know that midlife does not equal crisis. And I want them to know that they have so much experience and so much to give and so many things to explore that they may have been putting on a shelf to take care of everybody else up to this point. And this is not the end. It is the beginning. So put on your big girl panties. Let's go. Hike them up and get back out in the game, because this is, you have everything that you need to have a whole new life if you want one. So that's why I chose women over 40.
I liked it. I wasn't sure what the motivation was, but I do think that is one of those places in life. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's a little earlier or a little later, but it is pivotal.
Yeah.
And then again, it comes up again right around 60-ish, because you look and think, now what? Or you're thinking, what? But for me, it's important to be surrounded by people who, like you, want to keep trying new things, because we need to be reminded that it's a number on a calendar. Yep. It's not a statement of your value or your worth. And why not try new things?
Yeah.
Although polo, I don't think that'll be for me.
Yeah, well, that that was fun. I started taking lessons again this year. I was out of commission last year after I fell off and shattered my wrist, and so that was that. But it didn't stop me from getting back up there this year. So and here I am again. Yeah. But just think that women undervalue themselves a lot. Men when they hit midlife, how many 70-year-old men are going out with 30-year-olds? Come on. And then women who date younger people are, cougar. Like it's a bad thing, right? I don't know. I think there's a double standard going on here somewhere, but
there is. Although I've heard my husband say that, he'll look and he go, man, she's a cougar. And he means it with admiration.
Yeah.
I'm looking at him going, no. Should I get some good ideas here? He goes, no.
Nope.
Wow, she's a cougar.
Yeah.
So I think maybe the intonation shifts a little depending upon like the person's admiration for the woman's chutzpah, right? It's like, just get out there and do your thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just life can be really, really fun. I just don't want anyone to give up on what's out there, because you don't know what's out there, and there's too much still too precious to explore. Yeah. Well,
curiosity is, contrary to killing the cat, curiosity is the fuel.
Yes, absolutely.
That keeps you just kind of, that would be great to know. It's useless things that you might not ever need, but wow,
who cares?
So cool.
Who cares? Just like I said, I'm always that way, and I don't know. I probably was undiagnosed ADD or ADHD or I don't know, whatever I had when I don't know, who knows. But I've always just been, hey, I'm going to, maybe a little pretty shiny thing syndrome, but I don't care. I had, people, poo-poo me for like, oh, you're doing that now? Yeah. And what's your point?
What are you up to?
Yeah.
It's like,
what are you up to? Doing that same old thing? Have fun with that. Okay. Bye.
Well, I want to ask you about your podcast, because before we hit record on this, you were talking about an interview you had just done, and for me, for not doing better research, but I didn't know you had a podcast. So will you share a little bit about your podcast and what you talk about and what you're up to with it?
Yes. Thank you. I think it wasn't in my bio because it's fairly new. I'm like, whopping 10 episodes in. I'm way
Congratulations. That's where it's, hey, that's where it starts, my friend.
Exactly.
You just don't stop.
And you can, I'm kind of a gearhead. You can see I've got the, microphone and all, for those of you who are watching on YouTube or wherever. I had wanted to do a podcast about something because I have done some acting. I went to radio broadcast school when I was like 16 years old. I mean, like I said, I've been doing this weird stuff for a long time. And I just loved that whole aspect of it. I was kind of an AV nerd. I teach online. And so I'm pretty comfortable with medium, with it and being, in front of the camera and on the microphone and so on and so forth. But I couldn't think of a topic or something that would, because let's face it, podcasts can live on forever, right? I couldn't think of anything that was sustainable in my mind long enough. And I really did want to do it for a longer period of time. So around my coaching practice, my tagline, for lack of a better word, is Awaken a Life Worth Being. So that's the name of my podcast, is A Life Worth Being. So I talk to everyday people who have transformed their lives through, whether some through choice, some through by accident, into something that they feel good about and that they, are experiencing. So just, I love talking to people. And I think the whole podcast, the ability to have this conversation with you right now is amazing.
Isn't it though?
Would not have met you otherwise, right? Did you say, is it really?
I did say, isn't? Oh, I said, isn't it though? No, I did
yes,
say,
it is.
Really? I am sarcastic, but I'm not that flippant.
I think it's sarcasm. But it's just, I love it. I just love it. Yeah. I've talked to people all over the world, and so that is my, I want to get my message out there. I want to get the message out there of other people who have transformed their lives and or who are just enjoying life. I think if we can consciously raise the vibration of the universe and the energy, that the world will be a better place. And
I'm pretty sure we're related. I'm pretty sure we are related. No, I mean, someone said, what's the purpose of a podcast? I said, well, it's a legitimate reason for meeting people I wouldn't otherwise know.
Yeah.
And now I know people, like you said, all around the globe. This was the coolest thing. I introduced a podcast guest. So like you and I are done talking. We're just wrapping up at the end. And I said, I want to introduce you to somebody. Normally I would have asked the other person for permission, but I thought, I'm not going to do it.
What the heck? Yeah.
So I said, are you open to it? And this is what she does in the world. You got some overlap, but it wasn't a clear connection, but I just thought, I need to connect you guys. So I email them both, say who they are, blah, blah, blah. I leave it to you guys. If you have interest in knowing each other, reach out. I said why I thought they should. Mm-hmm. It ends up that the person I referred her to is living in a house in Hamburg, across the street from where this other woman grew up. This woman lives in the Dominican Republic.
Oh my God.
She does not live in Germany, but she had a mixed family. And I said, wow. And she goes, no, you're not missing this, Sarah. The other guy, she goes, our street is 250 meters long. There are not a lot of houses on this street. So, but think about that. Would you have met that person? And they're both delightful, right? So I just think about all the stuff. And when people say how terrible things are, I'm thinking, well, I can tell you about a lot of people who are just normal people doing their lives, and they're not terrible, and they're doing great stuff. Is it big? Are they making are they these big multi-million-dollar stories? No, but honestly, they're people I cherish. Yes. So I don't know. I get wanting to connect with people.
Yeah, and it's just, with the pandemic and everything, thank God for Zoom, right?
Zoom really benefited from the
Right?
pandemic.
I know. They're like, bring on another pandemic. We're ready. But speaking of multi-million-dollar, But, I was talking about this with my last guest or the last person I spoke with. And, even though we can connect physically these days, I think some people are still having a hard time with it. There's a little bit of rehumanization and re-civilization that needs to happen. And I love listening to podcasts. I hardly ever listen to the radio when in the car. I've got my list of podcasts, and it's growing with everyone I talk to. I just love it because people are fascinating. They really are.
People are.
Yeah, they are. I mean, whether you agree with them or whether you disagree with them, they're fascinating. And, obviously we'd rather talk to people that we agree with. But
I always think it's good practice when I have to be with people I don't agree with, because then I can go, what if I, because I don't always agree. And then I think, well, what if I did think that way? I wonder what my world would look like.
Yeah.
So I just do an interior conversation with myself. Well, isn't that interesting? I wonder how it feels to feel that way. Do you feel grumpy all the time? Like, do you think, rah, rah, rah? I mean, I have to make up stories in my head to entertain myself, but because I do respect, I respect people have the right to think and feel the way they want to,
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, do I, is it Sarah's way or the highway? No.
They might be making up stories in their head about you too. So
it's okay. I'm to a point in life where I don't care.
Exactly.
But back to horses. I just had a thought about that. Since you work with you can work with different horses. Are there particular breeds that you've worked with of horses that seem different than others with people?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, they're all, obviously when we talk about riding or, they all have their different.
No, but I mean more of the Equus therapy arena.
Yeah, right? No, it doesn't really matter. They're in their heart of hearts and in their core, they're all pretty much the same. I mean, we've had retreats where we've had draft horses, big giant draft horses, and of course people are fascinated. They're either scared to death, but this tiny little woman, like, I want to work with that big 18-hand draft horse. And I'm like, okay, back off, stay a little far away from the behind, please. Safety first. But no, and the minis are fun too, so you can work with anything from a draft to a mini, and the minis are hysterical because they will get right up in your business. And by minis, I mean mini horses for
mini horses,
Yeah, they're smaller than ponies. They're tiny. They're like,
but they're a whole horse.
They are a big old horse in their mind for sure. Yeah.
We have a couple of neighbors who, instead of walking their dogs, walk their minis.
Yeah.
It cracks me up, right? Well, they do have a dog too, but you're walking down the street going, oh, they're walking there. My Henderson goes, that's a pony. I said, that's not a pony. That's a miniature horse.
It's a mini. Yeah, it's a miniature horse.
You can tell by its proportions.
Funny. Talk about personalities. They are hysterical. Oh my gosh. But they will get in your business in a minute. They don't care.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has taken us all over the place. So I want to come back to you. Is it too late for people who might be interested in your October retreat to learn about it or get in on it?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It is a very intimate group. At the most, like I said, we have 12 spots open. And so I will give you a link for people to be able to sign up or get, right now we're offering a significant discount on signups. And I will tell you, it's 3 days. And we are at the ranch in small groups. There will be 2 of us as coaches. And you'll be out in nature experiencing what it is like to be a horse and be with a horse and be in their presence, as well as connecting with other humans that, when people leave our retreats, they're just, so many people have said, it's life-changing. And we want them to learn things that they can then take back into their daily life. So it's educational, it's eye-opening, it'll get you back into your heart space. you have never been in your heart space, it will help you find it.
Yeah. And,
It's a lot of
for
fun.
folks who don't know that part of California, it is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of ranch land down there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, I wish you the best for that. And we'll make sure that's in the show notes.
Okay, that sounds great. That sounds
But I'm going to
great.
give you the final word on this podcast today, Sue. So, what would you like listeners to think about and remember
From this podcast or just in general?
in general? Well, from what it's you, whatever you want.
I think that I want people to know, especially women over 40, that your life is not over. You may have done what you needed to do, but don't ever stop being curious and don't ever stop wanting to live your life for what it is and what it can be and what it has been. Be in the moment, be curious, and remember, everything is just information, just how you process it.
You've been listening to the No Labels, No Limits podcast with best-selling author, change agent, and strategic business coach, Sarah Box. You can grab the show notes and find out how to work with Sarah at sarahbox.com/no labels, no limits podcast. We'd love this podcast to reach as many people as possible. Please remember to rate, leave a 5-star review, and share the podcast with someone you think would get value from this conversation. Till next time, keep taking those daily action steps to align your purpose to your principles and achieve your goals in business and life.